In this epic witch come vampire demon series, A Discovery of Witches, we see awesome superhuman powers of witch Diana. The story is adapted from a best-selling novel by Deborah Harkness. The story is about witchy Diana and her all-encompassing powers to manipulate the key elements water, air, and most deadly, fire. As witches only have one element in their blood, Diana, as the last in a line of witches, is in total denial and an unwilling witch. And it's just the beginning, as she's still learning to control her powerful magic. But somehow she is drawn to understand more about her magic heritage. Her alchemy research leads her to the Book of Life, which has been mysteriously missing for a long time, as the Book of Life has been activated again. As Diana searches through the library and touches it, it burns her, marking her hand. Then creatures of the night that had since disappeared or were slowly dwindling in numbers are now awakened as the book has come to light, and the hunt for the Book of Life resumes. Now the creatures in this world are vampires, demons, and warlocks. And we see this where Diana encounters Matthew, and she senses he is a vampire without consciously doing so. So her witch magic is pretty innate, and she's absolutely right. And Diana is actually one of the most formidable witches that have walked this world, and she has instinctive magic without trying or having to focus or will herself to do magic. As the book reappears and Matthew sees this book, he tells Diana he just wants to eat her. But lucky for him, he restrains himself, and we'll explain in a bit why. Now, if you know anything about these beings, is that witches and vampires never trust each other. These vampires are of course cold, calculating but elegant and fast, and they are dark and dangerous. As vampires have lived for so long and have accumulated so much knowledge, some of them over the centuries, and with a super sense of smell and thirst, the coven disallows relations between the species. As you see, now we know that Twilight fans would probably think otherwise, like if you check out the clip of Bella, human, and Edward the vampire. Even more intriguing is that Matthew's mother Elizabeth, an age-old powerful vampire, pretty high at the top of the vampire tree. Isabella's been killing witches as she's seeking revenge for the death over her mate Philippe at the hands of witches. So you may be wondering what happens when a powerful witch killer meets Diana for the first time as Matthew brings her home. Well, conflicted, Elizabeth is definitely not happy about the arrangement, but she eventually accepts Diana as Matthew's mate, as we see a little later on. Going back to the Book of Life, Diana comes across Peter, who is a warlock, and she comes face to face with a master who can get into other people's minds. And as they battle it out, Diana has the powers of her own as well. And she too has telepathic powers. Without having to even speak the words, she can communicate with anyone through their minds. So her powers are similar to X-Men's Jean Grey, where she can't help herself and uses her telekinesis to smash a window into Peter. And Peter craves Diana's powers, wanting them for himself. Diana's ability is not limited to the movement of objects, but she can also move people, as she can also teleport. Not only can she move things with her mind, but she also has some precognitive powers. As she sees in her dreams, she can visualize the future. She wakes up shocked, seeing a hairy, huge spider creeping across, which stunts her awake, and of course offensively against the Emperor. Not surprising, as her parents, when they were alive, were weavers. And we'll find out more about what happens to her parents in a bit. So you see, as Diana can travel through time, she's a time spinner as a weaver. We see this as Diana and Matthew travel back through time in her quest to understand how to use her powers and how to learn about the Book of Life. And she's seeking a teacher to understand this. Diana learns as a child that she was actually spellbound, and her parents were murdered in Africa for being witches. and being able to control all of the elements, wind, water, earth, and fire from a young age of 3, she actually already displayed signs of extraordinary powers and abilities, and her parents wanted to keep her hidden, as those creatures would be after her for the rest of her life, as she's probably the most powerful witch that has ever lived. So how does this happen? Stay tuned and we will reveal what happens in the story of the discovery of witches. Her powers are growing, and probably an unheard of superhuman power in any other series that I have seen, that just by giving you the look, she can blow objects and humans away, which is pretty unheard of as a superhuman power, but pretty cool. Not only can she wield the wind and fly, but she has incredible control over the elemental power of fire, as a fire drake which flies out of Diana's body, and a deadly fire arrow against any enemy who threatens her, and she can actually use it offensively. As for the final element of water, Diana is able to harness the power of water, as we see the awesome ability to control rain. As Diana's emotions well up, she actually causes the rain, and really only the most powerful witches are able to summon water. Having seen how all-powerful this witch Diana is, you must be thinking, does she actually have any weaknesses? We see formidable enemies as she is challenged, as she cannot harness the control of all her powers just yet. To share with you, we will go back in time and see Diana as an infant, where we saw her being spellbound, and this actually means that she has lost the ability to cast spells, bound and magic taken away from her as an infant, but this is reversed as she becomes a spell weaver. And you might be wondering, what is actually a weaver? Well, weavers can create spells at will by working threads that bind the world to magic for all-empowering creation or destruction. And even though her bindings are gone, but as an untrained witch, we are yet to see her full potential. And you see, Diana has the power, but just doesn't know how to use it yet. In a twist, Diana does find forbidden love in a vampire, despite the covenant forbidding mating between the creatures, and geneticist Matthew, the vampire, between the inhuman superhuman species, as Matthew, being immortal but not invincible against his own kind, almost dies when his past vampire mate Juliet discovers their secret and is jealous for the love they share. Diana strikes a bargain with a goddess where she makes the ultimate sacrifice. So the series continues. Does Diana turn when she's bitten by a vampire? Can a witch turn into a vampire and become immortal? The series does not confirm this just yet, so we will have to wait until the next season comes out. But we do see Matthew and Diana pregnant with baby twins, and the creatures are nervous as the powers such a baby would possess with the mixing of creatures, as Matthew and Diana are working to keep the baby and themselves safe, so stay tuned. You might like to check out more witch powers by clicking on the screen right now.